Hey friends, it's Rosalind. Welcome back to our gardens and our tiny farm. Today we are going to walk through all the cottage gardens and just look at everything that's blooming because there's so many things that have started blooming, especially the hydrangeas. There's a lot of them that are either blooming or just getting ready to bloom. I feel like in our gardens, July and August is when everything starts peaking. We are also currently in a bit of a heat wave here in northern Indiana, growing zone 5B. The temperatures have been between 90 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit with high humidity. So it'll be fun to just walk through the gardens together and look at the things that are enjoying the heat. There's some things that are struggling a little bit, and also wanted to give you an update on some of our upcoming projects. So let's walk through the garden together. We are going to start out here in our driveway garden. This garden is only 2.5 years old. It is still a work in progress because I have been wanting to be very intentional with this garden, be very intentional with what I plant in here and how I design it, since it is out here by the road and everybody that drives past is seeing this garden. So originally I did have a lot of creeping thyme planted in here just to kind of fill in the spaces and kind of cover the soil. And I've been slowly taking that out as I have been able to purchase more plants to fill in those spots. So right in here, I took out the creeping thyme and added in boxwoods just last week. But if we turn this way, this is a pairing that I have absolutely been loving, and I was hoping it would turn out like this when we started designing it. So this is a little arbor trellis, not arbor, that has Betty Corning clematis on it. This is such a sweet clematis. It has been blooming for probably 5 weeks. And then if we turn this way, we have the peach sky yarrow. And right in front of it is some white veronica that the bumblebees absolutely love. I came in and deadheaded it just a couple days ago, and you can see it's already filling up with more buds. It blooms right into fall. And over here we have Earth Angel Rose. I had deadheaded pretty much all of our roses just yesterday because the Japanese beetles are so bad right now. Rose flowers are still looking good. I covered with mesh bags. So this is what Earth Angel looks like. Decided to uncover it so you guys can see it a bit better, but it is just a absolutely gorgeous rose. As we continue on into the garden, I will eventually be replacing this creeping thyme as well because I do have some out in the herb garden. So I really don't need this much. I'm going to be replacing it with boxwoods, which will be bringing a little bit more formality to the entrance. If we turn this way, oh, the lilies are just looking so pretty right now. These are lilies that I planted in here. Well, I had started them from bulb in containers earlier this spring and then just popped them into the ground about a month ago, and they're starting to bloom, looking so pretty. We have Invincible Ruby Hydrangea, which is not minding this heat. It is looking so pretty. And Pufferfish Hydrangea is just starting to bud up. I got this one from Great Garden Plants last spring, and it was like this in this little quart container, but just look at how big it is. We're going to look at some of the other roses in just a second, but I did want to show you this pairing because I think it's so sweet. So the iris are obviously done blooming, and then we have the Sahara Black-Eyed Susans interplanted with it. Isn't it looking so sweet? So if we walk over here, this is what the Japanese beetles are doing to the roses. And I have decided I'm just going to start planting less roses in the garden and more hydrangeas because they really don't bother the hydrangeas. But just look at this. I have to pop the name up on the screen of this rose because it is absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's walk over here and see what's blooming in this part of the garden. So since I've been leaning more towards a formal cottage garden feel compared to our back cut flower garden, I really wanted to have a lot of lilies, hydrangeas, and roses in here. So, oh my goodness, this is a hydrangea I picked up just last week. It's called Little Hottie, and it grows 3 to 5 feet tall. So I'm very excited to see that one bloom. But if we turn this way, oh my goodness, you guys, This lily is absolutely stunning. This lily is a cross between trumpet and oriental lily, and just look, like, this is the lily compared to my hand. Isn't that amazing? They smell like they just have this soft lily scent. I know some people don't like the scent of lilies, but oh, it is so pretty. There is boxwoods at each entrance into this cut flower garden. But I've been trying to figure out, I would love to hear what you guys would do. I've been trying to figure out, like, if I should come in with a hedge of boxwoods on each side eventually, or should I do like a hedge of hydrangeas, like right along here. What would you guys do? I think either one would be very beautiful. We are now walking up to the front of the house. And do you guys remember just a month ago when we did all of these planters up here on the porch and in front of the garage? They were like so puny. And I told you guys, give it just a couple weeks and these are going to start filling in. Aren't they looking amazing? This is what we planted in here: the Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes, Super Tunia Royal Magenta, Diamond Frost Euphorbia, and Silver Falls Dichondra. And I mean, they were just so tiny. I'm so impressed with how well these plants are doing. In this little pocket by the back door, we have regal geraniums. Do you guys grow this geranium? It has very beautiful flowers, but I'm not sure that I like it as much as just like the zonal geraniums. Over here we have Sky Blue Laguna, looking very sweet in its little planter. And if we turn up here towards the porch, these planters have taken off like crazy in the past month. They are obviously loving the heat. There's just begonias, coleus, and lantana in here. But if we walk up onto the porch, it's just very simple up here. But it is a fun spot to sit and have coffee in the morning. As you walk around the corner of the house into the backyard, this is the view that greets you. But if we turn this way, this is our patio garden, and this is a flower bed that I started, I think it was 3 years ago, and I have never really loved it. I think it's a lot because the plants are the same height and the borders aren't quite deep enough. So I do plan on widening this border and coming in with some tall hydrangeas, like the one that we have over there. We're going to look at it in just a second. I think I'm going to start removing some of the big leaf hydrangeas because they don't do as well in my garden. I feel like every winter and early spring, those blooms just freeze off and they don't do very well. Back here, I did change out this trellis and we are going to plant a clematis on it. It is called Boulevard Cherokee Clematis. It reminds me a lot of the clematis that we have out in the back cut flower garden. The blooms are very sweet and it's only supposed to grow 5 feet tall, which is the exact height that this trellis is. So it should just completely fill out this trellis and bring a bit more height back in here. This will be the 3rd year for the Bobo hydrangeas. So I'm expecting that this is the year these hydrangeas start taking off. You can see that they are budding up, getting ready to bloom. They have the sweetest blooms to use in dried arrangements and fresh cut flower arrangements. So this is what I'm thinking, is kind of widening this flower bed and bringing in like a limelight hydrangea. These grow up to 6 feet tall, sometimes taller. So I thought it would be nice to kind of move all the hostas forward and have the limelight hydrangea up against the house to soften all of the edges. I temporarily placed a picket fence behind the AC unit to kind of soften that as well, but I eventually want to bring some lattice in here to make it look better and fill this space out with hydrangeas as well. As we walk on back into the patio, oh my goodness, do you remember when we planted these containers together with, is it Goldfinch Super Tunia, Sparkling Amethyst Super Bina, a tricolor salvia, and then we have Super Tunia Priscilla with, oh my goodness, those gorgeous double blooms. And it is just kind of intermingling together. The Super Bina is doing what I wanted it to, kind of looking like a purple hydrangea. Over here we just have the same planting as well as on the far side of the patio. Then we have Super Tunia Priscilla up here in the hanging planters as well. These haven't filled in as I was hoping, but oh, they're still looking so pretty. Our little birdhouse, fairy house. Before we head on back to this garden, I did want to show you the Pinky Winky hydrangea planted between the deck and the patio. It is huge and it is getting ready to bloom. Usually by end of July, it is at its prime and it is looking so pretty. Can't wait to share it with you guys. But this is what we plan on doing with this garden and I'm so excited to get started on it. So this is the year that the garden is getting extended out to the edge of the house. We are going to be planting more hydrangeas in here. All of the hydrangeas in here are currently babies, so none of them is tall yet. The Gatsby Gal hydrangea will grow 6 feet tall. But I did want to share this big leaf hydrangea with you because it has been struggling in the heat. Right now it looks very good because I did water it every day this week already, but the blooms have been shriveling up and it's just been looking like it's melting. So I don't know if I need to move it. Maybe we'll have to do a panicle hydrangea in here. Okay, let's together walk out to the back cottage cut flower garden. Let's start on the side of the cottage cut flower garden because there's some very beautiful things that are blooming. I love the layers back in here, but the exciting thing is, you guys, so at very end of May, we planted all the dahlia tubers in here and they are really taking off. So what I will do is come in and pinch these probably right about here, just above a leaf node, and they will branch out and bring lots more flowers. And oh my goodness, the linen zinnias. I couldn't wait to see the blooms, so I didn't pinch these, but aren't those blooms so sweet? This whole row will be linen zinnias. There is 80 dahlia plants in this dahlia patch. So in another couple weeks, you guys, it should be very pretty. So I have seen a couple people ask this question in comments, if I have a planting plan that I could share with you guys, and I don't. When I first started planting this cut flower garden 5 years ago, I just brought home perennials that I thought were very beautiful. I wanted to use them in cut flower arrangements. And that is still the way I plant. Like, I planted those few perennials and it just kind of expanded from there. I do try to create a layered look and I try to plant things together that complement each other. This is Bright Eyes Garden Phlox. Isn't it gorgeous? If we turn this way, down here we have Incredible Blush Hydrangea. And it is struggling a little bit with this heat that we've had. You can see some of them are wilting a little bit. And there's a couple that are kind of turning brown. So I have been trying to water it at least once a day. We have bee balm right beside that. And there is just lots of sedum, butterfly weed, coneflower, just things that the pollinators really love, but they can also be used in cut flower arrangements. This is another garden phlox. One of my favorites. The butterflies adore it. It'll be blooming in another couple weeks. I'll share it with you guys. It's one that I got from my mom's garden. It's very pretty. And then there's just a continuance of coneflowers as we come around the edge of the garden. This is a limelight hydrangea, so this goes to show you how big they really do get. But let's walk down this pathway together because there's a lot of beautiful things that are starting to bloom in here. Some more echinacea coneflower. There's phlox starting to bloom. There's yarrow. And if we turn this way, you guys, I am so excited to share this dahlia with you because we planted this one together back in, I think it was middle part of May. And I had shared with you back in January that this is a dahlia that I really was excited to get my hands on. It's called Rhubarb and Custard Dahlia. Isn't that color absolutely magical? Incredible hydrangeas that we planted together earlier this spring as well. This one, I did cut off the original blooms and look at it. It is getting blooms, or it's budding up all over. And this one, oh my goodness. It gave out a new bloom and it is huge. double coral vintage super bells are looking so sweet in the window boxes. They're planted with the angelonia, really filling in and looking gorgeous. Now, I don't have a whole lot of daylilies in my garden because I don't really like daylilies all that much, but this one I made an exception for because it has double blooms. It is so pretty. Let's look at this one. This one is prettier. Isn't that so pretty? And the color is absolutely gorgeous paired with this lavender. There's a lavender hedge along this pathway. Back here, I do also like to have repeats in the garden. So we do have 3 anise hyssopus that we had started from seed, and these plants get very big. The pollinators absolutely adore it. But oh my goodness, here's another look at the rhubarb and custard dahlia. So this one has a bit of different coloring, like it's on the same plant, but look at those 2 different colors. It also has a Japanese beetle bug on it. But this is, so I had pinched it 2 weeks ago, I think, all of the dahlia plants in here. I don't know if you can see where I pinched it down there, and it has branched out. Like it gave out 3 branches from where it was pinched. So that is why it's very fun to pinch your dahlias and your zinnias, because they will branch out and create more flowers for you. Unfortunately, the poppies are not taking very well to this heat. You look all kind of shriveled. Oh, that color is so beautiful. We have to take a look back in this direction. I love this view with all the lavender and the phlox in the background. And then your eyes are kind of drawn down to the daisies in the distance. Oh, so pretty. There is a repeat of salvia in this border. Now this border is only, I started this border last fall, so it's a very young border. The plants are not mature in here yet, but in a couple years this border will be completely filled in. And on the opposite side of the pathway, oh, I just love all the colors in here, all the layers. So much fun. We are back out here at the entrance of the cut flower garden. This is another pairing that I really enjoy. It's the lavender veronica. It's kind of a lavender blue color. And then another daylily that I did make an exception for because I love this color, paired with the firelight hydrangea, which is just starting to bloom. It is looking gorgeous. We won't spend a lot of time along this border because we had looked at a lot of the plants along here last week when we walked through the garden together. This is some dahlias that I had potted up, some dahlia tubers. So those are getting ready to be planted in the garden. And this is from one of you guys. I'm so excited to get this planted into the garden. They're called La France carnations. And she had reached out to me on Instagram. She's a local lady, wanted to order some bouquets, and then she gave me those carnations. So excited to grow them in the garden. They are a very beautiful pink color. Hollyhocks are still looking pretty. I did have to tie them up because they keep falling over. They're so tall, they just keep falling over in the wind. So I had shared last week, this half is our vegetable garden, and this half is where I usually grow my annual cut flowers. But I do have plans for this. This will be turned into a complete flower garden on this half of the garden. It's going to be fun because it'll be a mix of perennials and annual cut flowers. There's not a whole lot in bloom along here. We again have that same pairing, the daylilies and the lavender blue veronica. And another hydrangea getting ready to bloom. This is Pinky Winky hydrangea, not quite as tall as the one we do have up by the patio. Catmint is still looking pretty. We're going to come in soon and cut those back and probably start dividing them. Sweet peas, do you remember when we planted them on this obelisk? This is, oh, I can't remember the name of these, but they are a very gorgeous purple color. Phlox have started blooming, and there is always questions about what are those purple ball flowers? This is drumstick allium. And we'll take another look at them up there by the chicken coop. Did cut back all the foxglove that were surrounding this lilac. It is reblooming a little bit. Look at those blooms. So sweet to see in the beginning of July. And it is backed up by all of the sweet peas. So pretty. Let's walk over to the greenhouse and see what's blooming over here, because there is some roses that have started blooming by the greenhouse. Here's another Bright Eyes Garden Phlox. It is so fun to walk up to this view. So this is a rose we had planted together this spring as well. It's called Parfuma Bliss. It starts out as a soft pink color, and then it kind of ages to this white color. It is so pretty. Can't wait to see this one mature and grow taller. It is back planted by the hydrangeas. This rose, I honestly can't remember what we planted here, but it is filled with buds. I'll have to show it to you once it blooms. Okay, let's walk into this garden. On the greenhouse, I had shared on Instagram that we added a rain chain to the greenhouse. It is actually to replace your gutter system, but I'm just mostly using it for decorative purposes because I think it's so pretty. Again, the double coral vintage super bells looking very sweet with the Gara as a centerpiece. If we turn this way, I did move the lamps that we had over here in front of the greenhouse doors, move them over here, and I really like they kind of act as an entrance into the greenhouse garden if you would eventually walk through the cut flower garden. Zinnias are looking very pretty in here. These will also need to be pinched, but I did want to save the snapdragons and the larkspur before I cut them back to share with you guys. They're still looking pretty, but the heat has definitely taken a toll on them. They need to be cut back. Also, let's take a peek into the greenhouse, because last week we had hung up this lace curtain together, and I did go ahead and add another one to this side. It does need to kind of be, you can see it's kind of crooked at the bottom, so I still need to adjust that, but it actually cools off the greenhouse by a couple degrees just by having these lace curtains hanging on the east and then on the west end of the greenhouse. I think this is my favorite year for the herb garden. Some of the things aren't doing quite as well because the chickens got out into the herb garden. They scratched up a lot of the seedlings, but everything else is looking very sweet. The echinacea that we had transplanted together last year out here into the herb garden is looking good. The passion flower had bloomed. There was a couple blooms on it earlier this week. I don't know if they don't really open up in heat, but it is filled with buds. You can see there is a lot of dill throughout this garden. There's chamomile. Back there we have yarrow and marshmallow. Calendula has started blooming that we planted together. The incredible hydrangea is looking very pretty, but it is, again, it doesn't like the heat all that much. It's looking okay right now, but you can see it again gets brown flowers if it gets too much heat, and these are in full sun, like they get sun all day long. Sweet peas on the trellis right in front of the chicken coop are still blooming and looking very pretty. This is one of my personal favorite views of the greenhouse, is from this direction, and this is the drumstick alliums that I had been telling you about. Everyone keeps asking, what are those purple flowers? They are so pretty. Usually they're covered in honeybees and bumblebees. I have some more right here. We have to take one more look back in this direction because this is another one of my favorite views. It's just looking down this pathway and seeing all the colors and the layers in here. And it's only going to get better as the plants keep on maturing, and probably going to be adding more perennials in here as we go. Well, friends, I would love to hear what is currently blooming in your gardens. It has been a pleasure to just walk together through the gardens today with you guys. And I think we're going to do another tour at the end of July, because by then all the hydrangeas will be in bloom, and that is when the garden really starts shining. And we're also going to be working on some of those patio garden projects together. So excited. Have an amazing week in your own gardens, and I will see you right back here real soon. Bye.